Billiken fans, welcome back. It's Zach Miller, Peter Hale. It's the Midtown Madness Podcast. Before we get going, thank you so much for listening. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Also, comment down below. That was awesome last episode. We mentioned commenting, and we had 2 comments, which sounds small, but that's amazing. So if we talk about something and you want to throw some input in, feel free to leave a comment. Please leave a comment. It's season 4. And once again, our show, the Midtown Madness Podcast, is brought to you by 2 Men and a Garden. Pete, once again, they're talking about Kellen Thames and cramping and how much more that we wish he could be on the floor because he is absolutely electric. And I really think he needs to get himself some 2 Men in a Garden pickles at halftime, just like our guy Fred Thatch. 2 Men in a Garden is the sponsor of the Midtown Madness Podcast. They're local. They taste amazing. They support the Billikens, and they've got all the flavors to suit your individual salsa preferences. You can pick up their many products at any local grocery store or online at 2menandagarden.com, which, if you're particular about your salsa preferences, just like I am, that's where you want to go. They have all their products on the website. The delivery is fast. It's affordable. Follow them on social at 2Men Salsa on Instagram and Twitter. Pete, once again, I want to kick off with a little bit of an issue that I think, it's got many layers to this issue and this discussion. First of all, I tweeted out that the athletic department or the Billiken men's basketball Twitter account had not tweeted in 3 days, I want to say, between the loss in I forget what city is that? Were they in? Since they lost their last game of that tournament.
Myrtle Beach.
Right. The Myrtle Beach tournament. They had not tweeted. They didn't end up tweeting until game day against Dartmouth, but they hadn't tweeted in 3 days. And some of the A10 media types, the non-SLU A10 media types, kind of gave me some flack on it, basically saying that, the SIDs handle the Twitter accounts. They're overpaid, overworked. And I mean, I don't know how many times we've been on this show talking about how much the athletic department is understaffed.
Yeah. Look, I think their argument was it's Thanksgiving break, right? Like they're taking a break, but I can't imagine not having a timed tweet. Like,
yes.
Can't you time a tweet?
Yeah.
So like ahead of time, you can schedule things to drop each day, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but like the holidays, you wind up with a little downtime, and sometimes you got to take a little break in the next room over in the den or the family or like wherever there's kind of an open couch. You plop down, see what's going on your social media. You doom
scroll
feeds.
As you do. Somebody's ruining Thanksgiving,
right?
And you want to get out of the way and check Twitter.
Yeah, so like you just got to take a 5-minute breather here and there, and not having something like timed just to drop on Thanksgiving, like, hey, here's our game this weekend, or here's somebody's birthday, or here's a fun stat or fact or whatever. Like you don't need to be like working like in the office on Thanksgiving or the day after Thanksgiving or that Saturday, like all these days that they did not say anything. You don't have to be like working in the office those days for this stuff to happen. Like it can, even if you don't time it, like you've got to have a graphic or something ready to go, right? I mean, like, what am I missing here?
No, I don't think you're missing much. I think you watch every outlet did something about what's your favorite dish at Thanksgiving.
Sure.
Like all you have to do is just be like, hey guys, can you take a video of yourself on your phone? Because you watch some of them and they were just, camera phone videos. Just do that, slap it together, put some fun holiday music behind it, and you're good to go. I don't even need that. Look, like you have a game coming up, and this gets into the layers. You have a game coming up. Are you trying to sell tickets and get people in the building or not? Like the only thing that came up is the athletic department had announced they were offering 200 level tickets for $10 or $5, I think $5. and 100 level for 20. I get that. Like, that's fine, but like, go further, promote that. Be like, look, like Black Friday, you know, for Dartmouth only, 100 level tickets for $5, you know, $10, right? $10 for 100 level tickets. Do that. Like, that's all you like. You're going to send out free tickets to people on a mailing list eventually. Like, why not send out an offer instead?
Sure. Yeah. So one of the things, Zach, I'm wondering, in addition to just like, basic ideas for actually engaging, is we kind of commented going into this season. Are they hiding? Are they being
Right.
hidden from us? Like, what's going on? Why is there so little information? Why is it just like little dribs and drabs here and there? Do you think like if there's something to the negativity from the fan base right now where they're figuring like no engagement is better than negative engagement? Because like this post after the Dartmouth win, right? Like so it's a basic post where they just put up the score, right?
Instagram or
66,
Twitter?
65. I'm looking at Instagram right now.
Okay. I'll go to
And
Twitter
there's
then.
only 11 comments, which is not great for a Division One basketball team's official social media account. To get
Yeah.
11 comments after a win is not great. And the comments are, Travis sucks. This team isn't going anywhere with him at the head. If somebody replied to that with an amen, another person says, should not be celebrating this win.
Yes.
Another one, that shouldn't have been that close. Another one is just embarrassing in all caps. Ford out now. What the hell even is Dartmouth? And I'm not sure I can endorse that one.
No, my favorite is the Hooters guy at the end.
Well, so there's
The STL Hooters guy.
so the king, the STL king of Hooters.
Yep.
Yeah. So
That used to be me.
somebody said that's not something to be proud of.
I know it wasn't.
Someone
wasn't
says LFG, right? So we can take that as positive. Another person says, good win, boys. I was there, but it was a nail biter, but we hung on. Now on to Tuesday and another win for Coach Ford and the boys. Go Bills, and a bunch of emojis. I wonder like whose dad that is or whatever. And then somebody says, and then your guy here, the STL king of Hooters says another one, and it's the meme with DJ Khaled or whatever the dude's name. And so then he says, it's just practice until the A10 tourney, stay healthy. And then he tags like 3 different players. So basically 11 comments there, and 7 or 8 of them are negative. And I'm just wondering if they're like, do we really want to put stuff out there that we don't have to?
Right.
If it's just going to be people like fire Ford.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Twitter and you've got the Wolverine picture meme. Poorly done, by the way. You know who you are. I'm not giving you credit for that one. A Schitt's Creek GIF. It's just nope. You've got Mr. Rogers wearing a clown mask.
I do like that one.
Then you've got a bunch of P-word bots. You got a bunch of porn bots in there. Yeah. So, I mean, you know what? Look, I did. My first year out of college, I did social media for the Ambush, and I will say, it sucks to get negative engagement. It really is not good for you.
Yeah.
Not. I'm talking about personally. Like, it's not good for the person behind the account.
Sure.
Because you do, like, I don't know about obviously like Jay Nice, but like I take that personally. Like I think I posted, okay, like for instance, I posted a Black Friday picture. I think it was of 4 tickets that I printed off, like for me, my personal tickets that I was gonna have for family for the game. But you print them off and they're comp tickets, so it says 0 on there, $0. And I just tweeted out a picture of the tickets, like, oh, got my family tickets, something like that, just something funny, but like. People instantly started calling me out for that.
For the
like
$0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you got it for free. Shut up.
Yeah.
No, I think there is something to that. I think there's something to the negative publicity angle, but also the like, dude, I'm tired. Like I'm worn out emotionally from the reply guys.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, I think I just look, and I do not blame if it's. I think it's one of two things, or one of three things, right? It's either understaffed and they just need time off, which is again, you get into it and you already look at how much men's basketball suffered social media wise from women's soccer going as far as they did, right? And I don't want to say suffered because that's not fair to women's soccer. They deserve everything they got. They earned everything they got. But I think it could be the understaffed issue. It could be, like you said, that no publicity is better than negative publicity or attention. But it also could be I just I can't post anything. Like it's wearing on me, which again, I feel bad for anyone that has to do social media, but it's kind of the gig. I don't know about you. I just don't know like what they're playing. Like, are they okay? Like, do you have like Chris May going on the halftime broadcast, the broadcast at halftime, talking about Giving Tuesday?
Yeah.
Like, what are we running a charity that plays basketball, or are we running an athletics program that sells tickets and tries to at least recoup some money that way?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's any interest. I really don't think I think I'm convinced that ticket sales are the absolute smallest part of their interest. They have no interest in it. Like single game tickets.
Is this another matter of staffing, like we've talked about before?
It's ticket staff, though.
Well, yeah, sure, but you still need like your social media, sports information, whatever. You still need, other people like kind of sounding the horn for your program.
Yeah, I mean, like again, you had like SLU Athletics. Was it SLU Athletics had the like 3 posts on Facebook about the deal that small like that. It wasn't a special deal, but so I mean, there are posts that were scheduled. I don't know if those were scheduled, weeks or months ago, right? I don't know. I mean, the last time the men's basket, I'll let you guess when the last time the men's basketball Facebook page posted.
Oh, Facebook?
Just take a guess. I know you're not on.
I wouldn't even. I mean, I have a Facebook account. I can't tell you the last time I've seen a post from them.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's spring. I don't know.
August 3rd.
There you go.
That
August
is
3rd. And it's November 26th as we record.
I mean, like you look and like you look at our fan base and they're all on Facebook, man. Like the meat and potatoes right now, currently, as our fan base,
You're saying they're old.
They're seasoned. They've seen a lot. They've seen a lot in their time. They lived through Ecker. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, sure. I get you.
I didn't, thank God. But no, I just don't. It's frustrating, dude. Like as soon as like women's soccer started bleeding into basketball, and I guess, Jordan hasn't been around that long. So he wasn't even full time until what, 2020?
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
I mean, I'm just again going out, but I guess, they haven't scaled yet, so I mean, maybe they hire his, Cameron, or, they go even further. I know I've seen him have assistants out there on the soccer field, like other people taking pictures and stuff.
Right.
So I know he has help. I think they need to scale for real. Like social media creative, like you look at, I think somebody, Sarah Wagner, the old, I think she's gone now. She was the old, what was she? I forget what she did exactly.
So I thought she was the
administrative assistant
person for the program.
Yes, that's correct. She did like a Instagram or Twitter post where it was like, people want their creative stuff to look as good as so-and-so, but then they don't realize that it's like 30 people.
Sure.
Like, so again, you have to, I mean, I'm not asking for 30 people. Nobody is, but like, you've got to be able to handle 2 games at once on the same Like you've got to be able to put out an equal product across 2 games.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, look, it's not just that. It's like just circling back to what we said in the beginning. They went days without a
Yes.
post. And you and I on our shared Twitter account for Midtown Madness, we follow all the other men's basketball programs in the A10.
Yeah.
And I'm scrolling through it right now, and I can tell you Dayton basketball does not miss a day. Here's on the 20th, like these are non-game days, multiple posts on the 20th, multiple posts on the 21st, multiple posts on, well, at least one post on the 22nd that was all about their non-conference TV schedule. And then on the 23rd, which was Thanksgiving, they've got a little video from all the players saying Happy Thanksgiving. And then they have something that says Happy Thanksgiving. They follow it up by submit your photos. Wear your flyer gear to Thanksgiving and show us your flyer pride by submitting photos. That's on Thanksgiving Day. They've got that stuff, right? And whether that means somebody is sneaking out of the room at their own Thanksgiving to tweet that out, or if they had it timed, they're doing it, right?
Yeah.
So I hate to use Dayton as a comparison because I hate
you have
Dayton
to
so much, but like that's our rival in our conference. That's what they're doing. And on SLU side, we're doing nothing, right? Like nothing isn't the alternative to that. We should be able to gripe about like, oh, I like what they did on Thanksgiving better than what we did, but what we did was nothing. And it's just every day, right? It was the 3 days leading up to that game, nothing, and then all of a sudden there's a game day post. I don't know, man. So I guess there are a lot of reasons that we've touched on here.
It almost like it bleeds into when you're watching the game. You're like that cut looks lazy. That looks like they haven't been practicing for 3 days. It's you feel like it's certainly I don't think anybody in that sports information department is lazy, but it's the appearance.
Sure.
It's what is it? Perception is reality.
Yeah.
I just look, I'm not saying you have to work on holidays, man. Just like I'm saying you need to bring in more people so that you're not overworked to the point that you have to give them 3 days off for, you know what I mean? Like you're able to be like, you're able to ask somebody, hey, would you mind, doing a couple posts over the holidays? Would you be able to, you don't hire more people. That's the point. Don't,
or before you leave the office today, make sure you have a noon post scheduled for the next 3 days.
Yeah. I don't
know.
I think my whole point was just bring in, you gotta expand your staff. It's how things are moving. You probably look at Dayton's, athletic department support staff. I bet it's 100. It's probably 50% bigger, 25% bigger. Social media creatives team. I'd imagine. And that being the SID and Jordan Nicely. So it's not hard to double up what we have, but man, I just find it hard. Like, I'm just like, why, how do we put in effort as fans when it feels like nobody else cares?
I think that's the bottom line right there, right? Is like if people are not seeing effort, or what is at least can be perceived as effort,
yes,
then why should they meet that in kind? And we'll get to that with basketball now, but it really goes through the whole department, right? It just like give me, like, I want to support my alma mater. Give me a reason to feel good about this.
Yeah,
give me a reason to engage with you.
You talk about answering it in kind, and I tell you what, that transitions us great into this Dartmouth game, because you look at TJ Hargrove and he gets the biggest responses because he puts out the effort. You see that effort. Now, does he flex down 10? Yes, he does. Do I like it? Not really. But he brings the energy and the effort, and I think fans respond to that.
Yes, absolutely.
So, and same goes for Jimerson, I think, too. Jimerson, he's had a tough go. He is now once again He is back to 2021-22. And he is now the focal point of the offense and getting molested for 40 minutes a game.
Yeah, he sure is. And this Dartmouth win, 66-65 on Saturday the 25th at home, was no exception. He did have a tough one here, right? Like I think people the whole game were wondering like what's wrong with him, what's going on with him. But then you look up at the end of this thing and he willed his way to 23 points. And I really think it was sheer force of will. He didn't have it going from three. He was 1 for 6. He was 6 of 18 from the field, which is definitely lower than what you want. That was a lot of layups. It was a lot of contested layups. It was a lot of absorbing contact. But he was 10 of 11 from the free throw line. He got to the line a lot, same way he did against Illinois State, where I think 15 of his 20 points came from the line. Here it was not quite that dramatic, but 10 of 23 is still a pretty big percentage. And yeah, Zach, I really think he kind of went into the mode in this one like he did not want to lose this game, and we just did barely enough to win this one.
Do you think it's, I mean, look, do you think Travis is doing Jimerson a disservice? I mean, with his offense, like, again, we talk about that effort, and it does not feel like there's any effort to really get him open, whether it being actually running a play for him or the execution of the play. And I think the biggest, I think Billikens.com had a whole new post, and our boy A-Bomb is just absolutely killing it, by the way, on Billikens.com. But he posted a video about the weave. And I mean, it just, and people said it doesn't seem like there's crisp, cuts. There's not, solid screens. There's not, we're not, hustling off the pick. Do you think that this team is just not running? I mean, this has been forever though. We've seen this sloppy screens and all this for years now.
Yeah, I do wonder why we still have not really figured out how to get him open consistently. It had been a little bit better in a few games earlier this year without Parker, though. I mean, yeah, you're right back to he's going to draw the toughest assignment. They're never going to give him an inch. They're just going to follow him around and grab and tug and pull anything they can to keep him from getting a good, clean look. But yeah, you're right. We also do we run that weave sometimes, and we just don't get any good action out of it. So I do sort of wonder like what purpose that is serving. I really don't know. I thought Eric Pitlick made a really good point to you,
because I was curious when he tweeted that. Like I was like,
yeah.
Okay, explain that to me, because I'm not like I understand the concepts of getting people open and whatnot, but like action, all that stuff doesn't make sense to me.
So his point, he said their offensive sets were off all night, and that was part of a larger point about how bad the overall performance was. And in response to your question, he said the timing on their cuts, screens, exchanges, everything was off all night. A lot of indecisiveness and looking around for the guy who will take over, but that guy never showed up. And that's a good perspective because he was a former manager at SLU. He's been there more recently than I was, certainly. And so he has that sort of bench perspective, and he's kind of looking for those things, right? And I think he's right. Like there were a lot of times they just seemed out of sorts. Like this seemed like a preseason game almost in terms of like things didn't look smooth, things didn't look crisp. There were guys who would pick up their dribble and not really have the option they thought they would. I mean, there was a lot of that kind of stuff, and then we were settling. Some of this is the decision making of certain players on our team, but we were settling for like heavily contested layups, right?
I know I'm laughing because I'm laughing because I know like you're talking like you're doing a callback to a text.
Yeah, and I mean, yes, I am someone I expressed frustration with in the middle of this game, but like, and now I've lost my train of
Sorry, that's my
because
fault.
I can't. Now
well, why don't we just Tim Dalger.
Yeah,
he had a tough game in this one.
He did, and I don't understand the shot selection here. And you can look at the box score and go, well, he finishes with 9 and 8, and that's pretty good, right? That's productive. But it was just like
Not
like
efficient.
like no, watching him play, you're like, you should not be shooting that. Like he's never seen a bad angle anywhere near the basket that he won't go for. And it doesn't matter if someone's climbing on his back and he's under the foam of the backboard, he's going to take that layup. Like there's just a certain, you could draw the tape on the floor if you were a manager, right? Like I used to do with that pack line, but this would be even tighter. And it's his zone. And once he's inside that zone, he's incapable of passing it. He will not pass it. He's gonna take the layup. It doesn't matter how many people are on him. And every night he's going like 3 for 9 from the field, and most of those are like close range 2 pointers. And that's just not when you're his size. And he certainly has some speed and leaping ability and a lot of attributes that mean you should not be shooting so inefficiently
Yeah.
from the field. And that happens every time. It's the decision making. Hargrove has been much better in terms of his efficiency, but still there are a lot of shot selection kind of decision making things that are frustrating with him as well. And in this game, I guess I have to give Dartmouth's defense some credit, but like nothing came easy for SLU in this one.
Yeah, no, I don't. Again, but I think it's a lot of SLU makes it so easy for them. It's all like, again, you talk about how slow the offense moved and how many times that the guy wasn't there that was expected to be there. It felt like they were practicing.
Yeah,
It was like that scene where they take away the ball and you run it, like, was it running the puke in semi-pro?
sure.
Where like it looked like they were just like trying to remember the play.
Yeah, yeah. No,
It's just they don't screen, like there's no intent, like there's no, first of all, the defense is not, like, the intensity on defense is there. There's none of these guys can defend well, none of them personally. So like the you know the fundamentals of defense have to be there for press, and that's kind of a missing, like, you kind of think that the press is used to hide bad defending players, but like you have to be really sound to press.
yes, but yeah, it's
I was
funny
all
though.
over the place there.
Yeah, I know. I was ready to respond to another point, and then you finished with that.
Sorry,
But
go
no,
ahead.
regardless, I will agree that they look more comfortable in a press than they do in a half court defense.
Yes.
That especially goes for the younger guys because I think that they can lean some more on their kind of effort stuff,
Yes.
and you've got guys like Medley and Thames and Hughes who especially the last two who have some length and some speed and can kind of be disruptive in traps and going forward and they're playing all out, right? Like there's a lot of effort clearly, but they look a little more lost in a half court defense. And Thames got into foul trouble. I think he had 4 fouls in this one and in not in what 10 or 11 minutes.
Yeah.
They
I thought some of them were tough.
yeah, but the point is they kind of look a little lost in a half, and it's not just the young guys, it's everybody. I would love to be the kind of team with shooters at every position and a disciplined motion offense against this team because you are guaranteed at some point in the middle of the shot clock you are going to have wide open looks from three.
Yep.
And I didn't necessarily look, that's the case against everybody, right? Like if I just watched this game, I would have thought, well, sure, Dartmouth is coming into this game shooting 17.5% from three. They're the second worst 3-point shooting team in the country coming into this game. So of course you're going to give them more room on the perimeter, right? Like they may have exaggerated watching them play on some of their roster sizes, but they are a team with a lot of those kind of combo forward type sizes, like 6'6", 6'7" guys. And so you would have thought, well, let's kind of pack it in against these guys, right? Like let's not give them anything easy inside. And we're not maybe going to close out as hard as we would on another team. Let's tempt them to shoot from three. And for the most part, that kind of worked. They only shot 23% from the 3-point line in this one, which, yeah, it's better than their average, but that's still pretty bad. And I would be totally comfortable with that. But it's just it it didn't necessarily feel like there was a really distinct strategy around that, right? It more felt like we were losing guys kind of the same way we always do.
Yeah. Like that wasn't the strategy. It just happened to work out like that.
It worked out because they're a really bad 3-point shooting team.
Yes. It was,
Yeah,
it
I
was
mean,
like,
look, I don't know. I think maybe it's a little bit of both, but regardless, we don't have a sharp half court defense at all. There and look, Hughes and Thames and Medley and the younger guys, the international players, I get it. Like it's like they're relatively new to this, right? But there's a lot of veterans that
yes.
start for us, and they're missing assignments and not playing great team defense, and that kind of bothers me.
Yeah, I watched a lot of basketball and just what frustrated me, I think, going into this game and watching other teams and then watching the Billikens, and not necessarily I didn't watch marquee games. I watched some mid-major trash hoops. Um, but like I just remember Jordair Jed, and we saw this kind of a lot on when we had really good teams. Is that a lot of guys just will their way to the hoop and then get like kind of a semi tough turnaround and put it up over a guy and it bank it in, or like I don't know. It happens to us all the time. But we've never done that under like we're not doing it now, first of all, and we rarely did it. I think Perkins was the last one to really do it. Yuri maybe, but like he didn't really have the strength to do it. But it's frustrating to see that being employed all over college basketball. And like remembering that we used to have teams that could do that, and this team cannot.
Yeah, it's a personnel thing. Perkins could do it before he blew out his knee. We have guys who can kind of get to the rim now, but like I said before, a guy, like Gallagher's instincts just aren't very good from what I'm seeing so far. Um, Hargrove is kind of in and out. Like he can look brilliant going to the rim,
Yeah.
and then on the next play, look like it's his first touch of the ball in college basketball. Even though he's I think been more good than bad this season.
He really has,
Yeah.
except that GD marauding down the court he did, where he was dribbling like he was in the 1950s out in front of him. He was
Yeah.
dribbling.
Yeah.
That
But
was
well,
that. That was at the end of the game, wasn't it? That was
well,
towards the end.
the other one that I would take issue with was that very last one, right? With about
Yes.
13 seconds left on the shot clock, he decides to go take a contested layup and misses it.
Yeah.
And now it's there's like 20 something seconds left, and Dartmouth's going the other way with a 1 point deficit and no shot clock. And you go like, TJ, love you, bud. You've had a good game, but
Mhm.
why did you take that layup? Like, unless that was just wide open, unless they were giving you the middle, which, by the way, other teams had earlier this season, kind of giving us the middle like that. Why would you do that? You've got to make that shot. If you make it, fine. We're up 3 against the worst 3-point shooting team. So I'm all right with that. But he didn't, and it looks like just a boneheaded decision. So yeah, that was rough.
I want to talk more about TJ, but I want to talk about the play that you and I disagreed on. The foul. Where I legit thought that like I can't remember his name now. Mitchell Day.
Yeah.
I swear to God, he hauled off and punched him in the ribs legit, or the kidney legit. Like I
Yeah.
thought like I thought it was premeditated.
So
Like
this is the play where there was a screen and Hargrove had his back to Brandon Mitchell Day
yeah.
of MICDS, who is a sophomore at Dartmouth. And on the replay, it looked like just kind of, I don't know, incidental contact. His elbow got the kidney and it was just a perfect shot. You're saying it was vindictive, it was intentional.
I need to pull it up again, but like you could watch it and just by like there was an extension of the elbow. You could see the elbow extend,
Yeah.
and then you could also like it was the timing, right? Because it looked like he almost like pointed at Hargrove. Like he like made somebody aware of Hargrove and then put it and it just felt the timing of it was just Like, what do you do? Like, he knew he was going to back up and
Yeah.
he was about to let Hargrove know you're not going to do that.
You may be right. You may be right. I don't know, but
Please
I do know.
comment down
Comment,
below
yeah. Tell us
whether or
what you
not
think.
you thought that was intentional or
I'm
not.
willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, what I do know is that you could hear Hargrove screaming above everything else. Like on the broadcast, you could hear him screaming, and that's never a good thing. Luckily it was like, okay, kidney shot. I think he'll be back in. And yeah, that's the case. That's what happened. He was back in a few minutes later. But man, oh man, was it scary for a moment.
It really was. We talked about we talked about Jimerson and another weird play was the goaltend.
Yeah.
And you put out on Twitter, when did this become a rule? Like, what's going on? And I kind of knew it was a rule, but I had a different like take on it in that like I don't understand why why they wait to review it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a new rule this year. Like just to be clear with everybody, they're allowed to do that this year, and that's
So
why we've
just
seen
so
that twice now.
what you're saying
Oh,
is they are on a goaltend. They are allowed to review goaltends, but only if
at the
it's called at the time. If they
yeah,
can't go back and look at something that might have been a goaltend that they didn't call.
it's goaltending or basketball
Basket interference.
basket interference, and they're able to do it at the next media timeout. So I think that
And it
as
has to be called on the floor. It has to be called as it has to be called as a basket interference or goaltend at the time.
yeah, I will read the official language just to be very clear with it.
Right.
Uh, Officials will be able to review goaltending, or sorry, officials will be able to review goaltending basket interference calls during the next media timeout to ensure the calls were accurate as long as the official calls it on the floor. If there is a foul on the shooter while the ball is in the air with a goaltend or basket interference call, the review would be immediate to properly adjudicate potential free throws. So yeah, so they say it can be reviewed as long as it was called on the floor, right?
But
So I don't think you can review it if it was not goaltending.
right.
So the
My
incentive for the ref here is when in doubt, call the goaltending and then review it at the next media.
Yeah, I see that, but see again though, like it doesn't make sense that they can't just review it right away because it's it's a dead ball. Goaltends are a dead ball. So why
Right.
not just review it in the point? Because you
Yeah,
talk about
at
that
that
two
spot.
points, that's the difference in strategy.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. Like if you're going to review it, just do it right. Yeah, because if you don't make the call, you're right. It's not a dead ball. But if you do, it is. So just go ahead and go over to the monitor right then and there instead of people being like, "Wait a minute, weren't we up 70-68 and not
Exactly.
tied?" Like or whatever the reversal is. I know the first time it happened and now I'm already forgetting the circumstances, but it did feel like it was later. Maybe it was just later that everybody noticed.
Yeah.
But it felt like it was later than just one media timeout. Like it felt like it was much later.
And I don't think we knew wasn't it? It was at home that it happened.
Yes.
Original. I don't know. But I don't know. It's just like figure it out immediately. Don't wait. That's my
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Let's talk about that final that end game scenario because that was fun.
Oh, wasn't it? And it's a situation we never should have been in, Zach. We were
No,
up 11 at halftime after back-to-back 3-point plays and ones from both Jimerson and Hargrove. So you're up 11, right? And in a half that didn't really feels like it. You come out in the second half, Dartmouth goes on an 8-0 run to start the half, and it was never, I mean, it was close the rest of the way. We could never pull away. So SLU has the ball up one with just over a minute, a half minute remaining with 13 seconds left on the shot clock. Hargrove drives for that contested layup and missed it. Dartmouth then gets two really strong chances to win it. The first was a missed 2-pointer close to the basket with Jimerson. Look, he did a great job guarding the much bigger Jackson Monroe,
yeah, it's
but
fantastic.
he had him down in the post, right? Monroe had Jimerson back to the basket and missed it, got his own rebound, and then kicked it out to Dusan Neskovic, who's probably their best player. And he had, man, it seemed like an eternity. Time to get his feet set. I think he even looked down at his feet to make sure he was behind the
And
line or
that is why
something,
he missed it.
which he didn't need to do because they were down one. And he shot a wide open three and missed it. I just like I was it was like that St. Bonaventure miss in the conference tournament
Yep.
where I was 100% sure the ball was going in and it didn't. And
That was my late uncle swiping it off the rim.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
just giving it a little like a
Yeah.
little
Exactly. It's like the sixth man,
just
except
enough to
Travis
keep it
Ford
off.
wasn't on the court.
So Dartmouth fouls after they missed that with a half second left. Hughes actually missed the free throw, but they get the rebound and the game's over at that point. I don't know what you thought here, Zach, but it seems like a real breakdown to me if you are up one with under a half minutes of play, no shot clock, and your 6'5", 6'6" shooting guard winds up guarding their big one-on-one in the post. And not only that, and he did an admirable job doing it, but not only that, they wind up with the most open look they've had the entire game, from three. It just seems to me like
What are we doing?
multiple breakdowns in the last half minute there.
I mean, does it surprise you at all that we had a defensive breakdown anywhere in the game?
No, I mean it doesn't. But it's still like and yeah, and this Dartmouth team, I think they had scored barely 50 in their other two games. They were averaging, I think, 51
Yep.
against Division One teams, and they wound up scoring 70 or something against the lower division Westfield State in their only win. This is not an offensive juggernaut at all. We've already talked about how they're one of the worst shooting teams in the country, but still, like I don't know, like just straight up guard them on this last play. Like how do you wind up with multiple breakdowns like that?
Well, it starts with two big men on the bench, either both ineligible. It starts with or it continues with your you having the only two bigs that are eligible are project bigs. You're playing a 6'5" forward guard combo guard or forward guard combo at center.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how that happens. Dude, I just everything like I hate that every loss in this season is gonna be looked at under the microscope that we didn't have, Sincere Parker. Oh, we don't have any bigs. That Sincere Parker, fine. The bigs problem is a Travis Ford. That is a self-inflicted Travis Ford issue.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so that's what you're left with is you're going to have situations like this. I mean, look, Hargrove had a
And
good game. Go ahead.
no, and you're gonna have situations like this 15 times a night, 20 times a night,
Yeah,
30
that's
times
right.
a night. And
Right.
you're just gonna get toasted. Like the tweet with everybody with the numbers. Is that Ken Palm? I assume that's Ken Palm.
Yes. Yeah. With the
Where we
expected,
aren't favored in any game until I mean, and that's
like
only till January
mid-January.
9th. And I
Right.
would say that probably I didn't look, but I would assume it's not any better after that. Not a
Well,
lot
I
better.
mean, we'll run into like, LaSalle and some lower tier
Yeah.
A10 teams, right? Like that.
I
There are
still don't
still,
know, bro.
believe it or not, there are a few A10 teams below us in the ratings right now. So we will run into them, but who knows how things shake out for everybody over the next, month or two. In the meantime, look, Hargrove had a good game. He had 17
Yeah.
and 6 in this one, even though we frustrated us at time. Who I thought had a weird game, Zach, is Mike Meadows. He has 12 early and then nothing, right? And it wasn't just like he went cold. He didn't shoot anymore. He wasn't getting to the rim anymore. I thought defensively he was a little bit better than most out there. I still kind of like when we run the Meadows medley combo at defense sometimes. I don't know if it was the best matchup in this game, but I do like seeing them run at the same time and against certain guard combinations. I will say the young guys in this one, Hughes, Thames, Medley, we've been advocating a lot for giving them more minutes. I think your point is if we're gonna suck, we may at least give them some experience. This game was not the best
Yeah,
case
no,
to
I looked
support
like
that point
shit.
because Hughes went cold. He didn't really do much. Thames got in foul trouble. Medley had a quiet game. But again, they did look more comfortable when we were throwing more pressure at Dartmouth.
You know what interests me? Do you think? Well, Mike, I'm going to ask a question, and I promise I will actually ask a question and not answer it. Do you think Travis is interested in feeding the hot hand? Because I don't know.
I would say no.
I'm
I would
looking at
say no.
and this is the context is Mike Meadows had those 12 early points.
Yeah.
And it felt like we didn't even try.
Yeah, and not only that, like there were a lot of other times where I think after Thames had that big dunk, he had the hanging on the rim thing, but then he got taken out within the next minute or so after that. And I've seen that a lot this year where you feel like somebody is feeling it, and then they get subbed out. I don't understand the substitution patterns at all. This may have been the first game where I really noticed it too, where I thought kind of the sub patterns were unproductive, right? I mean, because Dartmouth is a team you could very easily and should very easily put away with a run or two runs. So you just need one hot player against them, and you can really put them away because they're not a team that's going to climb back from a big deficit.
I think we went over this last year. It seems like Ford is like allergic to runs. Like he doesn't want to get near them. Like he's like, oh, we're up 12. That's fine. Throw in the subs. Like put the team away. This is like this again. This is what I'm talking about. Where it's like he doesn't punch. He rope-a-dopes.
Or it's the thing where we actually do put together a run, and then we abandon everything that made us play well and then give up the lead, right? Like I'm thinking about George Washington last year.
Yeah.
Where I think we went between the end of the first half and beginning of the second half. It was like a 24-0 run. And we were running away with the game at George Washington. They proceeded to then the rest of the second half come back and put it to within 3. And we held on for the win, but you're like we were having fun. This was a laugher. And then all of a sudden you're again, puckered on the edge of your seat. Like it's just not we just never put a team away. So I think that's the other factor, right? Like even when we do have the runs, we have a more than a tendency, I would say, to cough those up.
I wonder if he's like overcomplicating. I think he overcomplicates things, man.
I think there's something to that for sure.
I think he wants to manage the game. I think he wants to prove that he can, coach a game.
Yeah.
I wonder if it has, I wonder if that reputation gets to him and that he's trying to outplay that reputation.
Right. And you can almost see like the overthinking happening.
Yeah. Like the George Washington game. Like, okay, does he go into the locker room trying to play 4D chess when really he only knows how to play checkers? Is he going in there and he's like, okay, they're going to do this, so we're going to just go ahead and switch into this on ahead of it. Like we're going to get ahead of whatever they're going to do to counter us. So we're going to switch. And then you're like, why? We were kicking their ass. They had no answer.
Yeah, I think sometimes you just got to play it old school and ride it out until they cool down or until somebody gets an extra foul or whatever reason there is to make that extra sub or call a timeout or whatever it is that may end a run. But yeah, I think you just got to let it, like when your guys are feeling it, you got to have enough faith in them at this level to let them play. And yeah, the sub patterns I thought in this game were unproductive, and maybe that is a result of overthinking things a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think he gets caught up in little mistakes, and like that fine detail he gets caught up in, and it's bizarre because everything's going right on the grand scale, and then like say like Meadows was heating up, And then Meadows, throws the, or not, let's not say throws the ball away. Let's say like, I don't know, misses a screen or whatever, something that doesn't actually end up mattering. And
Right,
the run keeps going, but he decides to take Meadows out at the next dead ball. And it's like, dude, he just scored 12 points. Like, let him fire. His shot was looking good.
It
Like
really
it
was. It looked great.
smooth.
Yeah, and his numbers for the whole game were good, right? I think he was 2 of 3 from 3. Like it's not, like I said, it's not like he got cold. It just wasn't it just wasn't really, we weren't looking, he wasn't getting looks the rest of the game. I'll put it that way. Slew wound up being 38% from the field, not great. 4 for 15, 27% from 3, and then 16 of 21 from the line. So it's a funny thing, Zach, that a Travis Ford team has evolved into a really good free throw shooting team. But we are not the 3-point shooting team that he promised. 30 a game was the number he threw out before the season, and here we are at half of that.
I tried to believe it.
There are going to be games, and there were earlier this season against like truly inferior competition where you can just feast at the rim and get to the free throw line and stuff like that. And if you're not shooting 33s, fine. But in other games, to shoot in this one half of what you said you might shoot is not great. And look, I know we were 4 of 15, but I still think there should have been ways to be getting guys better looks. Jimerson was 1 of 6, but he did fire up a few from 30 feet away, one of which he made, actually.
He did get one blocked, which I haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
which again is to the point we're not doing enough to get him open.
That's right. Yeah, and it's also a result of Dartmouth's size. They did out rebound Slew by 2. Not entirely surprising when we're not shooting it great and they're a bigger team and we're just getting out rebounded by everybody. But one thing I like, Zach, we only turned it over 6 times, and I think that's kind of been a calling card this season. With a few exceptions, we're really at least protecting the ball pretty well.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with just having a bunch of guards out there.
That's true. I mean, that's part of it, right?
We didn't see. I was bummed that we didn't get much of Bruce in this one. He hasn't been very good.
Well,
he's not going to get better if he doesn't get a little run.
Yeah, that's the tough thing, right? Like in this one, he gets taken out after a not great shot attempt. The one he airballed from 16 feet away, and look, like not a great shot.
But it was a Dirk Nowitzki too. It was a fadeaway.
Sure, yeah, it was.
it was awesome.
Look. But I sometimes I think like instead of burying a freshman on the end of the bench after doing something like that for the rest of the game, let him make up for it. Like, go let the guy have another shot. Right.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think you tell him like play within yourself, but make up for it. Don't try to do anything. You can, you know what I mean? Like,
that's right.
That's
play within yourself. That's a good way to put it.
That's what you want to avoid, right? Is Bruce going out there and trying to make up for it and forcing something and getting, a foul or whatever. You turn the ball over. No, just Bruce, settle down.
Mm-hmm.
Go out there, play how you know how to play, and that's how you'll make up for this.
Have faith in your guys.
Yes.
You recruited these guys. Have faith in them. You're going up against one of the worst, all around teams in the country. Unfortunately, but still, like, it's an opportunity for them to get some good experience. And I got to think if Bruce plays a few more minutes, that's a little bit better for his confidence. I worry about the short leash on some of the younger guys being a confidence issue, and when we've seen it time and time again with freshman bigs is they have a short leash, they get yanked for a mistake or a bad shot attempt and they transfer at the end of the year. Like it's just, I don't really like the way that pattern is playing out.
A hell of an intro, by the way, Scott Warman in this one to the game.
I don't know.
They come off a decent stretch where they win 1 of 3. They go 1 and 2 in Myrtle Beach, and it's like, Scott, a good stretch, really? 1 and 2. Oh man, I don't know. Everything seems just so unfocused and unserious.
Yeah, and that's another point, Zach, is like, okay, so this is a game, neither team got much in the fast break, right? Like which Dartmouth wants. They want to get back on defense. But once again, it feels like this is SLU letting their opponent dictate the pace and style of the game. I'm not suggesting that SLU's like a run and gun team or
But
like
to be fair, Travis Ford has said they're going to get out and run. They're going to press. And once again, against a team that's patently horrible. Dartmouth is horrible. Impose your will here. If not now, when?
Our pressure. I liked our pressure in this game because I didn't think their ball handlers were that good. They're not a super athletic team. They want to play a little bit slower. It's just, that's when they looked uncomfortable, right? And I don't know. So they didn't let SLU get anything in transition, and then we looked discombobulated at both ends sometimes. And this is after, Zach. This is after a stretch where SLU has 6 days to prepare for this game. Yes, Dartmouth had 10 days off before this game, but like when you're supposed to be the much better team, 6 days is a lot of time to be ready, even with a Thanksgiving break in there. That's a lot of time to be ready for an opponent, to be rested, to be prepared, to have a team really scouted. So I don't know. And yet you have the comment from Ford after the game where he's like, we just haven't been playing well in practice lately.
And why the hell not, Travis?
That was my question. It's like follow up on that. Like you say, like he said, I wasn't shocked by this performance tonight because we didn't look good in practice. It's like, well, why? Yeah, you had a lot of time to prepare for this game, and this is not. You didn't have 6 days to prepare for Kansas. Like you had 6 days to prepare for Dartmouth. And so why didn't they look good in practice? Like what's going on there? Too much fun in Myrtle Beach. Like what's, I don't quite get that. Like I've been in enough practices to know that you have a bad day here and there, but you don't have a whole bad week of practice, right? Like generally it's like, you find the things that are not going well in practice and really address those, and make sure it doesn't become a stacking of bad days. I kind of don't understand that at all.
And I thought, I don't know who actually replied. I know it wasn't a SLU account or like a SLU fan account, but it was, it's kind of your job, Travis, to make sure they do, like you said, like, and it seems like he's putting it on the players here.
Yeah, which I mean, that's always the case. Sometimes that's true. Like I've seen, there are plenty of times in back in my day where I felt like our game plan was fine, like we were prepared fine, and the guys just like didn't have it that day, right? But again, that's not every day. There are other times where like we got out coached, we got outplayed, we were not prepared, we got sucker punched. It's not the players every time, and I think our coaches in the past, be it Majerus or Soderberg, I'm thinking of specifically of times where they kind of took accountability at times and said, we didn't go about this the right way. They were just a little more frank about how they did things. Soderberg, I think, actually probably to a fault, like took too much blame sometimes. But I don't like that, like here in year 8, to say we had an entire bad week of practice and they're just not playing well.
Hold on, in how many years of Travis Ford as a head coach? Like Travis Ford has been a head coach for how many years? And
30 almost.
Yeah, and he like settles for a not great week in practice.
Yeah, I
feel like you're practicing on Majerus court. You better fucking figure it out.
I feel like 1.5 days into a week that's not going well, you kind of like blow the whistle and go, guys, let's address these things right here and now so that they don't spill over and embarrass us against a 300 plus level team.
He sounds like me when like I get in trouble in like high school. Well, I for various reasons I didn't do my homework. I'm not willing to tell you, but it definitely wasn't staying up late playing Tony Hawk. Like I don't like, what are you doing, dude? Just and again, everything kind of feeds into these little things. You talk about like the athletic department being secretive, Travis Ford. has always been secretive. And it's like, just let us in. Let us understand. Tell us why. Tell us why. Unless somebody had a parent die, like unless it was medical, like some serious medical emergency you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
come on, man.
Yeah. Well, I think we can put a bow on this one, Zach.
No, we are not putting a bow on this one. We are putting a piece of string on the twine.
Just a lid.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll put a lid on it. But SLU is now 3-0 against Dartmouth all time. They played them in 1951 and 1971. I thought this was really interesting. We are now 13-0 against the Ivy League, having played and beaten every team in the Ivy League except Brown. So now I'm on a mission. Let's get Brown on the schedule.
I agree.
Next year. Let's be perfect against the whole Ivy League.
Let's get Katie Shields to talk to the women's soccer coach.
That's right.
Talk to their men's basketball head coach, and let's get this going.
Yeah, and like women's soccer, we'll even play at their place. Brown's gym, by the way, is like a high school gym. It's amazing. I think that would be a fun atmosphere.
It's Gola.
Oh, it makes Gola look like where the Sixers play. I mean, it is small. It's really small. 4 walls that are very close to you. But anyway,
it's the Hoosiers bandbox.
Yeah, totally.
Oh man. Yeah. Did you hear the little blurb about the 1951 from Brown's like student paper or whatever?
Dartmouth. Yeah.
Dartmouth. Sorry.
Where they were wondering why they were playing SLU and not Wash U.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The way the thing was written was pretty hilarious.
It had a lot more character to it.
Yes. Well, I think it was the alumni newsletter.
Oh, it felt very old timey, like, wow, why aren't we playing Wash U?
If you asked me what year that was from, I would have guessed like 1920 to 21 and not 1951.
Step on up to.
Yeah, it was very weird.
Step on up to West Pine Gym to watch Dartmouth play the Billikens.
Maybe
in
that's
a game of round ball.
It's probably a function of it being the alumni newsletter, right? Like the student newspaper in 1951 would have sounded completely different.
Yes.
Than the guys who actually did go to school.
They actually grew up
20s,
in the
30s, and 40s.
Yeah. Right. Let's go around the A10. And my goodness, is this this is the Rocky Mountains, just up and down, up and down.
I think every week's going to be a wild one in this league. But on Monday the 20th.
Wait, hold on. Can you wait? I mean, I can't wait for the A10 Pick'em contest.
Oh God.
I'm just picking against SLU for those first games.
That's going to be a blast this year. It's going to be crazy. I think everybody will be out by week 2.
Yes.
Monday the 20th. This was a really interesting result. Kentucky 96, St. Joe's 88 in overtime at Rupp Arena. Man, that would have been a fun one to pick off. Colorado 64, Richmond 59, Kent State 79, Fordham 72, and George Mason rescues the league on this day with a 73-71 win over South Dakota State.
Oh man, you know what? I like I said, I'm out on rooting for the A10 to win games.
You're just like burn it all down.
Burn it down. Burn down the top of the athletic department here at SLU and burn down the Atlantic 10 in the non-conference. Tuesday, the 21st, Duke 95, LaSalle 66, Richmond 82, UNLV 65, Davidson 69. Nice. Boston 45. That's cakewalk for 2 of the 3 teams.
Yeah, quite a defensive performance there by
LaSalle.
Davidson. Yeah, LaSalle not so much. Richmond can really score, by the way. Wednesday, the 22nd, Creighton 88, Loyola, never in it, 65. Rhode Island 97, Johnson and Wales 59. That is not a D1 school for anyone wondering. UMass 89, Central Connecticut State 60.
They call it JWU.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Johnson and Wales.
Yeah.
St. Bonaventure 67, Bucknell 61. Nebraska 89, Duquesne 79.
Thursday the 23rd, Loyola 71, Boston College 68. This is one of those looks good, but like not really.
Boston College After this game, I think I am ready to make them an A10 member because
Oh,
no power conference team loses more consistently to the A10 than Boston College.
I
They're
would.
right. They're
Boston
within our
College would be.
map.
It'd be. They can stay in the ACC for football.
Yeah, we don't have a Boston school, right? We have
Hmm.
UMass on the other side of the state. I know it's a small state, but
We
come
need a
on.
flagship for. Is what you're saying is we need a flagship for
Let's
the state of
plant
Massachusetts?
our flag in what is it, Chestnut Hill, where
Sure.
Boston College is.
I thought. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. Sure. As long as they don't bring Henry Hill with them.
There you go.
Um, that was a great 30 for 30, by the way. Iowa State 68, VCU 64. Loved the Schadenfreude of this one. Pull the rug. They think they got it. Nope. Oh, you got to be quicker than that.
Yeah, yeah,
I
for
loved
sure.
it.
Friday the 24th, St. Mary's 89, Davidson 55. Yikes.
Hmm.
Dayton 77, Youngstown State 69.
Nice.
George Washington 99, Ohio 94 in double overtime. And then Boise State 65, VCU 61. Another tough win in a row for VCU there.
Wait, VCU lost that one.
So what did I say? Tough win, tough
Yeah.
loss.
Tough loss. Yes. Saturday the 20th or 25th, St. Bonaventure 90, Miami of Ohio 60, Mason 81, East Carolina 59, Richmond 90. Again, they can really score it.
Yeah, one guy.
Queens, but it's against Queens, 61. UIC 89, George Washington 79.
Yeah, that was a game where I was like, oh no, UIC is pretty good. We're playing that. And then I realized, oh, it's the women who are playing UIC next, not the
Mhm.
men. Sunday the 26th, VCU 86, Penn State 74. This one was over by the time I got home from the grocery store. I was like, wait, did they play at like 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning? And the answer is yes, they did. A
Yeah.
very weird time, but VCU gets a little bit of revenge there over their former coach.
Uh, this makes me sad.
And a couple former players too, by the way.
Yes.
LaSalle 82, Coppin State 62, St. Joe's 64, Sacred Heart 55, Rhode Island big comeback to beat Yale at home 76-72, and George Washington I think also made a comeback to win this one 81-71 over Delaware.
Oh man, the A10. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Always entertaining, Zach. It's never dull.
No, it's not. Next up for the Billikens, Pete, tell us what's going on with Utah State, the 28th.
Yeah, Tuesday the 28th, we host Utah State. They're 5-1. They've got wins over Stephen F. Austin, Akron, Marshall, Southern Utah, and South Dakota School of Mines, also a lower division school. The only loss was at Bradley in overtime. Bradley still undefeated, by the way. Danny Sprinkle's first season as head coach, taking over for Ryan Odom, who left for VCU. Sprinkle was previously at Montana State, and his whole career has basically been out on the West Coast where he's from. So naturally, this roster has a lot of transfers. His top two players from Montana State came with him. First one is a guy named Great Osobor, who is 6'8", 250 pounds. He's a forward originally from England, and he averages right now, Zach, 20.5 points per game and 10 rebounds a game, along with 3 assists and 2.5 blocks. He's a load inside. He shoots 62% from the field. He's a pretty good free throw shooter, 66%, so you can't just hack him. He is a little turnover prone, which might be something to exploit if we're kind of giving up a little size there, but he's going to be a problem regardless. The point guard is a 6'2" senior named Darius Brown II. He averages 11.7 points a game and a Yuri Collins-like 7.8 assists per game. He's an excellent free throw shooter. He's 40%, or actually over 40% from three. So he's going to be a tricky assignment as well, I assume, for Meadows. Mason Falslev is a 6'3" freshman guard who averages 11.2, 4.8, and 3.8. He shoots almost 64% from the field, but so far he's not great from either the three-point line or the free throw line. And then Josh Uduje and Ian Martinez both score 9 to 10 points a game, shoot about 50% from the field. Overall, they're one of the more efficient scoring teams in the nation. They average 52% from the field. They're almost 60% inside the arc. They move the ball around well. They're a solid rebounding team, and they've been scoring 81 points a game so far. They don't shoot a lot of threes, just about 17 per game, but they also defend the perimeter really well. Teams are hitting only 22% against them. They like to disrupt passing lanes, kind of like a Majerus team. Teams are getting just 8.3 assists per game against them. They haven't played a super challenging schedule, but Sprinkle is known as a hard-nosed, defensive-minded coach who preaches toughness. It seems clear in the early going that they are going to be a tough defensive matchup, and scoring over 81 points a game too does not hurt.
We're screwed.
Their chances. You would like to think Utah State. I mean, yeah, they're always pretty good, but you would like to think against a first-year coach, we wouldn't be saying that. But I sure, going through this, Zach, I don't love the matchup, I gotta say.
No, not at all. I mean, you talk about they basically do well in things that we don't do well against.
Yeah. I think that's a problem. And they've got a really, really good big man.
The dumbest part of this week upcoming is that this Carbondale game appears to not be on TV.
Which is depressing, confusing, but yeah, so far it looks like on both our official website and theirs that the Saturday's second game at Carbondale is not going to be televised.
They're really going to make the drive. They're really going to do it, aren't they?
Maybe that's what they're trying to do. This is for the gate. I don't know, Zach, but I do know that Carbondale is 4-1 overall. They've beaten Kentucky State, which is a D2 team, Queens, a new D1 team, Chicago State, and New Mexico State. Chicago State, which is, I think, the only independent left in D1 because of the issues they've had, and then New Mexico State, which has a new coach and an entirely new roster.
And sans sodomy.
Yeah, and they're based on everything that went there last year. So Carbondale's only loss is to James Madison, which is a 6-0 team and is currently ranked in the top 25. It's really hard based on that to say how good they are because they've played 4 bad teams and lost to 1 really good team. So
wait, they're ranked?
James Madison is.
Holy not Carbondale.
Shit. No. Yeah, James
smokes.
Madison's really good. Yes.
Yeah, no, I know that. I just missed it. Sorry.
They will have played Indiana State by the time we face them as well, which is odd, but the Valley did this last season too. They play 1 conference game in the middle of the non-conference schedule. So everybody plays a conference game right now. It's weird, but whatever works. Speaking of last season, SLU won that contest 85-72 at Chaffetz Arena. Brian Mullins is in his 5th year as head coach. He's coming off a 23-win season, his best since taking the Carbondale job. Everything there runs through 5th-year player Xavier Johnson. We actually know him a little bit from his first 3 seasons at George Mason. Last year, he scored 7 points a game, pretty much in line with what he did at Mason. But this year, with Marcus Domask having moved on, he's averaging 23 points a game, 3.2 rebounds a game, and 5.5 assists, which is crazy. Like he's basically been a 7-point scorer every year, and now he's tripling his production. The only other double-digit scorer is Jovan Stulic, a 6'5" Serbian grad transfer guard from Little Rock. He averages 10.4 points a game. Trent Brown, another senior. All 3 of these guys are either seniors or grad students. He averages 9.8. And then the next 4 guys based on scoring average are all juniors, and they're all between 6'6" and 6'10". So you've got 3 senior guards who score. You've got 4 juniors behind them who are all forwards, big men. Kind of an interesting roster. And then they've got a freshman from Vashon named Kennard Davis, and he's scoring about 3.4 points per game. He's their 8th man. There's always a local kid on this team, and always, as always, the SLU recruited, I want to say 3 guys on this roster. So there's a little bit of matchup intrigue there. Carbondale shoots almost as many 3s as 2s per game, so they shoot a ton from the arc. The top 4 scorers, Johnson, Stulic, Brown, and a guy named Troy D'Amico, who SLU recruited, by the way, they all shoot between 4 and 6 3-pointers a game, and they make them at about a 39.5% clip, which is in the top 10 nationally. So be ready for that. They also defend the perimeter really well. Teams are only shooting 15 threes a game against them and hitting barely 25% of them.
Will fit right in.
Yeah, the overall numbers at the defensive end are pretty comparable to Utah State's, actually. But it's hard to say exactly how good they are defensively, given the weak strength of schedule so far, with the exception of that James Madison game. So they're not as good as James Madison. They're better than those other 4 bad teams they played. I don't quite know what to make of them, except they're a team with a lot of experience who shoots a lot of threes and defends well, Zach. And once again, I kind of like don't love this matchup on paper.
No, this one, I mean, these two games could have the potential to get out of hand.
They do, and the real downside to this one is we're on the road, right?
Yeah,
And I've been to Carbondale a few times, and I've
it's
seen us win
rowdy.
there, but I have seen us lose one of the worst games I've ever seen us play in person there. And I still have vivid memories of that nightmare of a game when I was a manager at SLU. I think that was my senior year. That's when I kind of felt like, oh, this season is going off the rails. Like that game was so bad. So, yeah, memories of Carbondale cut both ways. Obviously, a team we played a lot over the years, but this one's kind of intriguing.
You know what? We don't know exactly how good Carbondale is, but I can tell you exactly how good Two Men in a Garden is, and so can Peter.
I can, and I continue to work my way through some cantina style medium that I've been working on. I got a couple jars of that. I got a couple jars of the dill pickles, which I said were probably the best batch I've ever had. They're great, but I want to circle back on another product that I mentioned a couple weeks ago that I was intrigued by, and they've got this Sriracha Granada all natural green chili hot sauce. Sriracha Granada is one of their partner brands that you can order on the Two Men in a Garden website in an 8-ounce plastic bottle. And I was excited to try this stuff. I got to say, Zach, it's really, really unique. I like a good green hot sauce, and I was expecting something more kind of in line with like a green Tabasco. And this one is really garlicky, I would say. It's a really, if you're kind of into a green sauce, it's milder. They call it medium, I think, on the bottle. And actually, no, they don't even give you a heat. They just say it's low sodium, vegan, and gluten free. And what I would say is it's a good green sauce that just leans really into the garlic element of it. And like our friends West Pine Bills, I do make a white chicken chili over the winter, and this stuff, some tortilla chips, white chicken chili, just a killer combination. So I'm going to strongly recommend that you pick this up. It's a partner product of theirs. It's on their website, twomeninagarden.com. Go over to their where their kitchen hub products are actually, I think, yeah, it's under the kitchen hub products if you hover over order products, and go down to Sriracha Granada, and it's really great stuff. Once again, put it on white chicken chili, throw some tortilla chips on there, and you're in for a really nice late fall meal. Trust me on this one. It's at twomeninagarden.com.
Let's move on to the women's side of things. They had a tough weekend in Hawaii. They lose to the first one being two. Well, yeah, they lose to Wake Forest. The first one, 94-66. Monday the 20th at the North Shore Showcase in Oahu, Hawaii. Pete, I think this is another instance of the Billikens SID athletic department falling short here, because no indication that either of these games were going to be televised, really.
No, there wasn't, and I think it was me. I'll own up to it. I mistakenly said that they wouldn't be, that you could only listen along to this one, and that wasn't true. There was a stream,
And it was on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, in the end. Maybe it's for the better, given that we lost by 28 points to a Wake Forest team that was only 1-3 coming into this game. I mean, I even tweeted out like, this is a great chance to pick off another power conference win, right? 1-3, looking vulnerable for an ACC team. They've lost to North Carolina A&T, Davidson, BYU, who's, as we'll find out, is really good. And then after this game, they lost to Villanova. But before this one, it was kind of like, I think we've got a pretty good shot here. And we were feeling really good, right, Zach, after the Missouri State, and obviously the Chaminade blowout heading into this one on Monday. But unfortunately, it just didn't pan out that way.
Yeah, no. Wasted in this one was a great performance from McMakin.
Yeah, she was great. 26 points, 10 of 16 shooting. She was 2 of 3 from three, 4 of 4 from the line. When McMakin is over 50% from the field, I mean, you got to love it, right? I mean, the knock on her is always that she's a little bit inefficient. But if she's going 10 of 16, you hate that is happening in the in the span of a blowout loss, right? And not in a win. Really unfortunate.
Yeah, unfortunately, I missed both of these games, so I'm gonna have to rely on Peter. Actually, all three of the games we're talking about. Monday and Tuesday was a whole story. Brooklyn Gray was nice in this one, as well as Calhoun. Julia Martinez, though, she had a really nice game. She reached 203 career steals. However, she left the game with an injury, and in the videos, she was wearing some tape around that knee.
She was, and I think she had a boot for the next game, even. So it was there was some concern about what the injury is or was, but we did after Sunday's game, Stu tweeted out that Tillett expects her back soon. So it sounds like just kind of a tweak and not anything worse, and really, really lucky. She did have 7 points and 9 rebounds, and like you said, set the new program record for steals in this game. So that was pretty great. But what wasn't great, outside of McMakin going 2 of 3 from three, the rest of the team went 0 of 11 from outside the arc. I'm not sure how they only shot 14 threes, being down by that much and trying to catch up, but regardless, they did not have it going from deep in this one.
Wake Forest was actually more efficient. They went 55% from the field, 38% from three, and 79 from the free throw line. You mentioned turnovers when talking about this game with me. Not good in this one.
19 of them compared to just 8 for Wake. Look, this team is a little turnover prone. We know that they were last year.
They play fast, they play frantic, and that kind of goes with it.
That's right. They force a lot generally. So if you're going to cough it up 19 times, I want to see Wake be pretty close to that. But to only give up 8, or to only allow for Wake to only give up 8, I guess I should say, in terms of turnovers is not ideal. Wake also outscored SLU in all four quarters. SLU did get to within 10 in the third, but once Wake Forest recovered, they did not look back. And yeah, went another plus 18 after that. So not an ideal game, in one that I thought we on paper had a pretty good shot in.
BYU 87-66 loss. I was in the midst of a food poisoning fever dream during this one, so I was in and out of consciousness for it, and I thought at times, I didn't even notice Julia Martinez didn't play. I had no idea until later.
Right.
But I thought in what I did see, I thought they were decent. It was just, I thought BYU was that good.
I really think it's hard in this game to point to any one thing and just say hey, we did this wrong. This was a game where they just were not hitting, right? The SLU went 30% from the field. They shot 21% from three. Again, 84% from the free throw line. This team is always reliable on the line, always. So getting to the line is going to be something that I would be emphasizing with them all year long. They just got, I think, outplayed by a better team. And to BYU's credit, they're 6-0 on the season now. They look like a really good team. So this is not a shameful result by any means.
No.
They just didn't have it that day.
Peyton Kennedy was really nice in this one. 16-6 with 4 steals. McMakin and Clegg had 12 each. Tierra Simon, who I have yet to recognize. I don't know who I could tell you who Markavia Shavers is. I don't know who. I haven't really pegged what Tierra Simon really looks like. But she had 10 points, 16 rebounds. 16 rebounds, dude.
I know. Yeah. And there was stretch in today's game, Sunday's game as well, where she was the only person who could grab a rebound for a while. She's a really good natural rebounder. The way I always recognize her, Zach, she's got long braids and with red in her hair. So that's
Okay.
to me, that's where I get it because I haven't memorized everybody's number yet. But that's how I recognize her. That and the aggressive rebounding. She's a good rebounder. Unfortunately, the other big Shavers fouled out in 10 minutes. I think she kind of demonstrated that preseason plan of legal physicality is not always going to work. Like she's in this game. I think she was like kind of much stronger, I would say, than the opposition BYU, even though they had some good height, some good size, and a lot of skill. Her physical approach in this one just was not flying with the referees, unfortunately.
I am shocked that BYU is really good at 3-point shooting. Shocked, I tell you.
Yeah, it's just so BYU. The thing about them is they do always in every sport like fit the stereotype you would have of BYU, right?
They
Like
do.
they just and they're always really good in everything too.
Yeah.
So it's frustrating because you want to laugh at them a little bit, but you can't because they're just always so good.
You almost want to like, I mean, like I almost want to put SLU as like, we should try to aspire to be BYU instead of like a Xavier, a Butler. Like those schools have like one or two sports that they're amazing at. But like BYU and just everything, they're just solid,
Yeah, they're good
rock
at everything.
solid. They never have any super down years. They every now and then they'll punch way up.
Hmm.
I mean, that's the kind of program I want across the board. I think it's
Sure.
what every school should aspire to be. But um, yeah, BYU out rebounded the Billikens 43-34. Only 10 turnovers for the Bills in this one and stayed out of foul trouble for the most part. BYU, however, did foul quite a bit. Um,
Yeah, with the
BYU,
exception of Shavers, really.
yeah. BYU 6-0, pretty good team.
They are, like I said, no shame. They hit more threes than SLU. They outscored SLU in the paint, with the exception of kind of the foul disparity, which is a little bit surprising, honestly. They were just a better team, up and down, and that's all right. I mean, sometimes you run into that, and it's kind of a litmus test of where you are as a program, and not so much a sign of you had a bad day or whatever.
You know what? If you told me that we lost this game 79-75, I would have been like, okay, when's Julia coming back?
To UIC today. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Instead, the Billikens win 79-75. Sunday the 26th. That's today as we're recording it. Tied. No, it was not tied 33-33 at halftime. It was 37-30. They were up by 3 at halftime. Oh, no. Sorry. I'm sorry. That's the third quarter. I'll shut up now. Go ahead and tell the people what happened.
I was like, I'm pretty sure I got
No,
the halftime
I'll
score
just
of this one right.
I'll take it on the chin. I'm an asshole. We all know it.
So they were tied 33 apiece
Yeah,
at
I was.
at half.
I'm trying to kind of catch up on the game so I can at least say some things here
But
that are.
sure,
And I'm at
but
the end of the third quarter,
look
so
the crazy number at halftime, Zach, was that SLU had 18 turnovers and UIC had 15. And I think they may have changed the official box score to show 19 to 15 later. I'm not sure why, but we tweeted at that point, whoever protects the ball in the second half wins. And then neither team really did because you end up 27-25 SLU in turnovers in this game. Like they just neither team could hang on to the ball at all. It's crazy that this that there were 154 points scored in this thing because the ball was just ricocheting around the whole game. I don't know what was going on, man, but this was sloppy. It was really sloppy. And the crazy thing is when they could hang on to the ball, they were great on offense when they actually got attempts. UIC shot 53.6 from the field and SLU was 61.2%. So it's just it was just a weird game.
um, yeah, the Billikens were the beneficiary of a couple calls down the stretch, and they had to make free throws in crunch time, and they did. They went 18 for 20 for the game, including 11 to 12 for the fourth quarter. But the real story, the biggest story of this game
Yep.
is Peyton Kennedy, who, I mean, is there a player that doesn't get accolades that just puts up numbies like Peyton Kennedy?
She has really emerged this season as maybe the most dangerous scoring threat, right? Because you've got McMakin, who's going to draw all the attention because she'll shoot from wherever under any circumstances at any time. And then Kennedy is one of these players who she shoots the exact same shot every time, no matter where she is on the floor. Very, very consistent form. And she's got it working for her this year, man. Like coming into this game, she was putting up great percentages. And then she goes 12 for 12 from the field, 5 for 5 from the free throw line. It's crazy. She didn't even attempt a three. And she's been an excellent perimeter shooter this season. So she's perfect on this game, 12 for 12, 5 for 5. And that 12 for 12, by the way, is a new record for makes without a miss for either the men or the women's team. So just a really impressive game all around from Peyton Kennedy. And from watching this game too, I got to say, like, those were not all bunnies either. Like she made a lot of contested layups, jumpers with a defender closing out hard on her. I mean, she made tough shots. This was not her just taking whatever easy stuff came along. Really, really impressive performance from somebody who's been an assassin this year for SLU.
You know who stood out to me? By the way, Peyton Kennedy is just like, there's just something about her. I don't know why. Like she just stands out. The way she plays is just, it's more mature. It feels
Yeah.
like than most anybody. Maybe it's that she plays so under control. She lets the game come to her. She doesn't force anything. She just is who she is. She plays within herself. Again, that's one of my favorite cliches, play within yourself. And I think she does that.
I like it, but you say also she doesn't force anything. And that's where I think really the difference is to me with her
It's a
is
yin
like
and yang.
every time she shoots, you feel like it's a good shot. She does not take bad shots. I think that's a big part of it. And so you wind up with that very consistent form, very consistent look from her. Her confidence grew exponentially last year, and it looks like it's even higher this year. Like she's been really impressive to watch in that sense. And love the way she plays. I would love a player like her on the men's team who's just a reliable threat from the perimeter.
UIC got away. Like they loved to push off in this game offensively.
Yeah.
They love to try to cross you over and push off like they're Michael Jordan in Game 7.
Yeah, that's right.
But I was pleasantly surprised with the minutes that Mia Castro got in this one. I thought she did some really, really smart plays, and including a little Euro step drive to the hoop. She came up short on that one, but I thought she looked good. She rebounded, just kind of the same as Peyton Kennedy. Kind of just lets the game come to her, doesn't try to do too much. Just when she's called upon, she does what she does.
Yeah, and that's what you want from her, right? Is being a second year player and coming off the bench. She gave you 10 minutes in this one, 2-2, so she didn't put up huge numbers or anything, but she was solid, right? Like I agree with you that she just played her role well here, and you really always like to see that.
Yeah. 1 of 7 from 3 in this one. Does it
Yeah.
matter?
Yeah, that was odd. Only shooting like we said before, like why did we only shoot 14 against Wake? But here it's like we only shot 7 in this game and made one. It seems uncharacteristic for this team to shoot that few threes, but I guess nobody was feeling it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean I'd have to rewatch this whole game, but I just I mean if you're gonna win, you're gonna win. I think, but
Right.
oh well, I guess I don't
Yeah.
know. I
Yeah.
wonder if it has to do with Martinez being out, maybe the
Sure.
dribble drive, moving the ball quicker,
That's a good
getting
point.
more open looks. Brooklyn Gray had 16, which is a nice addition, as well as McMakin's 12.
This was a good game for Brooklyn Gray too, because you mentioned the physicality of this game, and she's a big physical guard who scores in a lot of different ways. I like this matchup for her. She seemed to have every bit of the toughness and then some that UIC was trying to throw at SLU. So really like this matchup for her. Big Macon, her 12 was a little bit quieter. She was not a huge part of the turnover party, but the ones she did have were really could have been backbreaking. So I'm really glad that SLU was able to pull this one out, because McMakin, I had one turnover in particular that was, I would say, I was calling it forced would be a stretch. She coughed it up and gave up an easy 2 at the other end, and that was in the last 2 minutes of the game. So luckily that didn't come back to haunt us, but she didn't turn over nearly as many times as other players on the team that day.
I was curious because their coach looks familiar. Ashleen Bracey? I don't know where I would have seen her from. I mean, she was at Mizzou as an assistant, and then she was also at UAB. But yeah, she just looked familiar. She kind of looked like Kristen Shelton. That's a deep women's basketball cut. I wonder how, like, 1, 2, 3 people get that reference. I don't know. Next up for the Bills, Wichita State on Friday, December 1st, then back home to take on Ball State on Sunday the 3rd. Pete, let's hear about swimming and diving.
Yeah, we didn't get the results early enough. They didn't post them even on the official website, but we should have had them before, last week, the Phoenix Fall Classic, which was held at the University of Chicago on November 17th and 19th. And we do have results to report now. Both the men and the women finished 3rd of 7. Ben Mears had the only first place finish, and it was in the 1 meter diving competition. He finished 2nd in the 3 meter. Jedrick Camilla finished 3rd in the 200 meter breaststroke, and Adrienne Paseda finished 3rd in the 200 fly. Emily Leonard was 2nd in the 500 freestyle, 3rd in the 200 free, and 3rd in the 1650 meter free. Maggie McPherson finished 3rd in the 100 meter backstroke, and Letty Williams was 3rd in the 200 meter backstroke. A lot of 3rd place finishes, and it was enough for them to finish 3rd overall. They do return to action on January 19th against Omaha. So 2 full months off before we hear from swimming and diving again.
Pete, I think that's going to do it for us this week. I really love when we get to that point. Like, I love covering women's soccer and men's soccer, but when we get the time to just like throw out a topic and just go, I think that's some of our best stuff. And I hope everybody enjoyed this week. And I hope you commented if you came across anything that you did or didn't like. We take all forms of if you've got a better idea than we do, let's hear it. Let's give us some feedback on our takes, our hot takes.
I love not just feedbacks, keep the conversation going, but I love corrections and omissions. Is there anything we forgot? Is there anything we got wrong? Let me know. I know I can speak for myself. I don't take it personally. And
I do.
I like
we know that.
I like to hear that kind of stuff. So anything, especially I'll say for myself, if I got something wrong or left something out, let me know. And we're always looking to get better. But thanks as always, everybody, for listening and for your feedback in whatever form that may come.
That'll do it. Pete, as always, go Bills.
Go Bills.